Morning, everybody. Do a quick video this morning. Been a few days. It's been a couple of weeks. I had to go back out and take care of my parents for another week or so. That's pretty that's a pretty bad situation. And my parents did well. That's a pretty bad situation. There we go. Did pretty well their whole lives, and then come down to the end here, and they're on Medicare, all that crap, and wake and bake with you guys. They're on Medicare, and it only pays for so much, right? And so to have put them in a nursing home is about $5,000 a person a month in their area. Well, to have full-time in-home care is about $5,000 a month for each one of them. So it's right around $10,000. We have 3 girls that are taking care of them, running 3 shifts 24/7. And so come down to the end here, and your savings goes pretty quick at 10 grand a pop each month. And the few things that Medicare does supply that would cost you pretty big are like, they'll give you a bed, they'll give you hospital beds, right? That electric. They'll give you porta potties, they'll give you all the diapers and wipes and gloves, and all they give us. I've got 2 suction machines. What else? They'll give you a bunch of stuff like that, but the actual hands-on care, they don't pay for any hands-on care. And so I go out there. I'm going to be going out there until they pass, and staying at least a week or 2, trying to save them a couple of grand a month. What do you do? Well, I'm out there. Those girls, they came in and worked 2 nights. I was there for 7 days. And that was because the girl called basically begging if she could work, right? Because she needed hours. She needed, this is her job. She needed hours, and I understood. I'm like, I get it. But it's still saving them a lot of money. But it's one of those deals that, man, until you get there, you don't realize what it's going to take. When parents and even yourself start getting elderly and needing this kind of care, it ain't free, baby. It ain't free. The medications. My mom's got COPD, and the one medication that really gives her relief, she can only get in samples from her general practitioner, because this stuff costs $500 a pop. And that's like one of your best drugs you take, and you say, you don't need it. You don't need it. No, you can just use these other ones. I know this is better, but you ain't got much money. But I had 3 people there all of a sudden. Yes, they're waiting on me to talk about how flat it is. Because I'm just, man, I'm tired of these freaking Glovers. They are intellectually dishonest. They are unprepared. They know very little, if anything, about their own ideologies and their own religion. It's just, I'm tired of it. I'm so tired of it. Last time I did a flat earth video, I mentioned the video of the Australian guys who were turned back by a Coast Guard cutter. And these guys wanted to make the biggest fucking issue in the world out of it. They came in my comments and they're just blah, 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 blah. And that's the thing that the Globetards are really so dishonest about, If a flat earthers, whatever we say, they want it perfect. They want it cited. They want peer-reviewed papers. They want everything. They want you to have every single iota of any kind of freaking proof. And if you miss one thing, if you don't have one thing, then you're an idiot. You're a flirt. You don't know anything. You're dumb. And I had to tell him, and you have to tell him, look, I cannot sit here and walk you through the tens of thousands of hours I've put into research of reading and watching videos. I can't take you through that right now and help you understand. If you're too lazy and intellectually dishonest to get in there and do the deep dive and go in with an open mind and be prepared to change some things you thought for a while, then go away, get away, go be your globetard in your own little rubber room. It just, there's no hope for you, because if you can't see those simple facts, what can we do for you? Nothing can be done for somebody who's in that kind of a cultic religion, that without any proof. It is a religion, because this is the way they talk about Christians. You believe in something you can't see, hear, feel, taste. You believe in something that has just been rumored. You believe in something that, can be proven. Well, Christians will disagree that Jesus Christ is real and, and all that. But you can't tell them that. You can't tell them that. You can't tell them, they don't see that they're in a cult, in a religion, that they get these books starting in elementary school. They have the little globe spinning there. Teacher doesn't know any different. They believe everything they're told. And about right, we're told as a kid before we ever go to school, hey, listen to the teacher. Listen to the teacher. Follow the rules. And we're like, okay. As soon as we don't follow the rules, it's like, hey, Tommy, he's not really doing well in school. He's not paying attention. Oh, we'll whoop him into shape. All right. It's always the answer. We'll get him lined out. But it's flat. And you're so wrong. And it's one of those deals that, like Witsit Gets It says all the time. Do you think people who believe flat earth like the grief we get? Do you think we like the backlash we get? Do you think we do this because because it's a fad? No, you don't. And like they say, you don't. I dare you to find somebody that was a glober that discovered flat earth and changed their mind, and then after looking at flat earth went, yeah, it's a globe. I don't know of anybody yet that did an actual real deep dive into it and came out the other side going, yeah, no proof. There's no proof. All those idiots that got that deal going now, or this millionaire guy. I watched the interview with him with Witsit, and this guy, I don't know, that sketch. Everything, Witsit was asking about, just about, he didn't, really not into that. What I just want to do is, I saw this, that they said you can't go to Antarctica, and I've got the money, and I'm going to set it up and prove we can go to Antarctica and see the 24-hour sun. And that'll be the final experiment. What? That doesn't mean shit. There's a big dust up with that where Jaron says, hey, if we go to Antarctica and we see a 24-hour sun, that's it. Okay, I believe it's a globe then. And oh man, flat earth community went after him. Are you kidding me? You're saying that one thing like that wipes out everything else? I don't think so. I don't think so. Because if that one thing was all it took, there would be 1,000 24-hour sun videos, unfaked. Unlike the one or two that are out there that have been faked. That's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. There's no proof that we're spinning. And they don't even know their own heroes. They don't even know that Hubble and Einstein and Schumann, all those guys, admit there are no experiments to detect the rotation of the Earth. We can't do it. We can detect the rotation of the stars and stuff. We can watch them move and tell they're moving across the sky, but we can't tell if it's us moving. We have no idea, but we're gonna say we're moving. We're gonna say it's us spinning 1,000 miles an hour, hurling through the galaxy at 66,000 miles, following our whole galaxy with the rest of the galaxies in an ever expanding universe at over 1,000,000 miles an hour, and nothing changes. Stars are the same every night. Everything's the same. And these people go, yeah, that makes sense. What? What? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? All that going on, and yeah, can't tell. Can't tell. And it's funny how these guys, even with all of it pointed out, that everything the heliocentric model is based on are all theories. Theories. And they love their theories. The Globetrotters they will live and die on a theory. And I don't think they can't understand what that definition of theory means, because they take it as fact. They take it as hard fact. They're in these big old thick books that they read at college. And why would they put it in that book if it's not true? It's got to be the only thing they can be thinking, because it's a theory. It's a theory. It's all a theory. And it's funny how the germ theory and theory of relativity, just all these theories, and they go, it's already been proven. No, nothing's been proven. Zero's been proven. They haven't proven shit. They haven't proven anything more than they can lie. They can steal from us. They can lie from us. They can hide shit from us, but they can't prove anything. Nothing. Find it. Find proof anywhere. They've been going at this since 2015 or so. It's been almost 10 years, and not one globe proof has come forward. Lots of flat Earth proofs, but not a single globe proof anywhere. Not one. All theories. All theories based on one theory. That's 2% of theory of relativity has been even proven, and that's just one part of a little math equation that people are like, okay, yeah, we can start here, but that's it. That's all they got. It's nothing. They can't prove a shit. And I get sick of these globetards coming out, acting holier than thou, acting like they have some special knowledge. And it's not special. Hey, bud, how's it going, Lee? How's it over there? You're in South Africa, right, Lee? If I remember correctly. But yeah, it's coming down to it, man. This has got to change. Something's got to change, because the lies are useless. Why? Why are they lying to us about it? Why wouldn't they give us the truth, the solid science? I mean, what's the harm in the truth? Well, the truth exposes them. It exposes all their lies. It exposes everything they've been hiding from us. And isn't it weird how the last several years, all of a sudden, all these truths are coming out? All these truths are coming about how crooked, about how murderous, how just awful the Western world is, especially us. And we're taught our whole lives that we are that shining city on a hill. We're taught that no morals around the world are better than ours. We love freedom. We love people. We're here to make things better. And we ain't done that. Pick a time. Did we make anything better? We haven't. 2:40 in the afternoon in South Africa. I love those numbers. Wow. That's great. That's great. When it comes down to this debate, I don't know. Excuse me. I don't know of any globe proofs. Point one out. Come on, globe tards. A proof, a proven fact, undisputed, tested, repeated. You know, the scientific method. They've quit. Science has quit on the scientific method. What wins the day in science is the biggest funder. Whoever gets funded the most, that's going to be the prevailing ideology. It has nothing to do with the truth anymore. It's just not out there. I think they've gotten into a mode now of where they fear the truth so much that even when the truth isn't harmful to them, they're not going to give it to you. They're just not. They can't pull it off. And that last one I did, those idiots got in my comments and just went on and on. And I don't know how many different ways I told them, look, I understand you have questions. I'm not going to sit here and answer every stinking question to you because it doesn't matter the answers I give. It's not going to be good enough. It's just not going to be good enough for you. And I'm not going to do this. It's just useless arguing with these people. They won't debate. They won't come with their own facts. They just want you to prove everything. They want you to prove all the way from the formation of the earth all the way till the last star, and how it was put there and how it works. They want everything. And if you don't have every single iota answer good enough for them, you're wrong. And that's how bad they are. When it came to flat earth, we came in with open minds. And we're like, okay, I'm listening. What do you got? Yeah, whole truth. And I just hope in my lifetime that we get to see. We get the proof. I just hope that before I die, that the truth comes out. Fred, shut up. What are you barking at over there? Good God. You hear him? But yeah, I wanna before I go, I want it shown. And if it's not, I mean, we've gone this far. I don't see them giving it up too easy. But when you look at the whole landscape and you look back, and everybody's seen these timelines. There's a reset, 1800, 1850. How'd they do it? What happened? Were there clones? You see the Cabbage Patch Kids. You see the Stork Kids. You see these kids, these incubator babies. You see all these things, and it's like, what the, what's going on here? The orphan trains. You know what I'm talking about? Unexplained cities that they're telling us peasants with mere hand tools and carts and horses built these monolithic structures while living in little wooden, poorly built shacks. The whole thing stinks, The people, the people who know, and it just makes no sense. And now what I love is, and it's weird, I don't know what's going on with all these truths coming out, but I'm sure y'all seen lately how people are really pointing out, going all the way back to World War II, and how the whole 6 million people looks like it didn't happen that way. A lot of proof that it didn't happen that way. I saw one guy talking about in 1938, I believe, in Eastern Europe, they announced, I guess they had a census or something going on. They announced there were like 3.2 million Jews in Eastern Europe. Well, it's kind of hard to kill 6 if you only got 3. And there's just a lot of stuff that stinks, in the whole story. When you see the lead up to it, starting in 14 or 15, with the beginning of the Zionist movement, they hid a lot of stuff. They tried to hide a lot of stuff, but now that the truth is really coming out, it's amazing. It's amazing how these people set up rules for themselves, and this is what irks me, is that you don't know, and they state this. Their top rabbis, their top leaders, basically stated as, "We'll tell you when you've been anti-Semitic. We'll let you know. You don't know until you do it, but once you do it, we're going to let you know." And it's basically just anything they don't like. Anything, they scream. And it's amazing how, when you look at the landscape, less than 2%, 1% of the population is controlling 60, 70% of media, banking, industry, government, education. They're the top tiers of every institution. And people go, it's because they're smart. It's because their group is one of the smartest groups ever tested. Well, now that I found out that's not true. They did, I think, 60s or 70s, something about Ashkenazi Jews and stuff, and said, oh wow, on average they have a higher IQ. Well, that whole study, I don't remember all the parameters of it. That's kind of iffy. And when you see those kind of stories propagated, and you see we see over the last 100 years how they've had their finger and they've had their nose in everybody's business, and they've ruined and been kicked out of more countries than any ethnic group in history. And yet they come out saying, we're victims. We're victims. We're the only ones that are pure of heart. We're the only ones that are doing what's right. It's you people. We're God's chosen people. Well, now we know that in the Scofield Bible, this ain't nowhere in the Bible until the Scofield Bible, that the Jews are the chosen people, and that if you don't support them, God won't bless you. Wow, that's a crazy story. I've been told that my whole life. Every church PO ever sat in, every preacher said the same thing. If you don't support Israel, you don't love God. And wow, how untrue is that? And these people, they're part of the whole cover-up of flat Earth, because they know once people realize that God created us, He created this world for us. We're the center of the universe. We're the apple of His eye. He sits above, and Earth is like His footstool. And He set the Earth firmly on its foundations, never to be moved. But they say it's spinning. That doesn't mean that. That doesn't mean nothing. And that's all fake. I don't know. Einstein's not fake. None of those guys are fake. They're all so right. They're right as rain. It's getting old. It's getting real old. It's crazy that not one of them that I know of, one previous Glober, has come out and gone, you guys, y'all have really done your work. You've got a lot of good questions here. You got a lot of things that that would indicate flat Earth, but I'm not going to admit to it. I will not admit to it. Why? When you see Fred, what is your deal, dude? Stop. I don't know if y'all can hear him. I know I can. Just sitting over there. Somebody's got a bone in there and he wants it, but he won't go take it. He ain't tough enough. But back to all these proofs. How come not one intellectually honest Glober has come out and said, wow, these line of sight experiments y'all have done, if I'm honest, And I go by what the globe tells me. And then I go by what you prove and you test out. You're right. Not one of them. Nobody comes out going, wow, that's so freaking cool. Huh? Wow. I have to admit that would not work on a globe. Why? Why won't any? Not one. Neil the dumbass Tyson will come out and say, oh, the earth is so big. You're like this big 1/64th of an inch off the surface, and you'll never see the curve because it's so big, but it's there. Well, Neil, if I can't see it, why don't you show it to me? Well, they can't. They can't unless they've got a fish on lands. They've messed up a few times and showed us angles where it was flat horizon, but they still they still argue. They still argue, and it don't make any sense. Why? What's the loss to knowing the truth for them? Why couldn't they use the billions and billions of dollars they've wasted on this hoax and use it for real science on a real flat earth and going outside the ice wall, and if we can, and all that? How come in those early documents they say they ran into the firmament at 13,000 feet? Why do they show that stuff of Bird's expedition and then cut it short and just leave it there? Nothing to see here, folks. Why would Admiral Byrd on live TV say there's area as big as the United States, rich in resources, still to be explored, and then them just walk away from it? Nothing to see here, folks. Nothing to see here. Byrd, he died. Oh, his memoirs? He's a crazy old guy. He's crazy. Yeah, he was crazy when he got old. None of that happened. You find those old writings from the Mormons saying they came upon these cities built out. And there are enough buildings and homes there for everybody. And, you just pick a place. Pick a place you want to live. No explanation for that stuff, right? What's the explanation? Oh, take my ice packs out. They've been in long enough. But yeah, what about those things? Why would they write these whole stories in these books about coming on these cities and being able to pick any building they wanted and move into it? It makes no sense. And they sit there and claim that these poor settlers hauled all the way across the country through some of the most harsh terrain, rivers and mountains and deserts and all this, and then they get out here to this desert of Utah and they look around and go, this is pretty great. We're going to build a cathedral. We're going to build a freaking cathedral bigger than anybody's ever seen out here in the middle of nowhere. Right. Sure you are. It's just, all those stories just make no sense. Hey, Sarge, stop. So many things just make no sense. And the older I get, boy, I just go, boy, were we dumb. Boy, were we dumb. We just bought everything they said. No questions. And then the few people that did question, we were told, conspiracy theorists, that's crazy. It's enough. But what do you do with all that? What do you do with it when you just want the truth? That's all, just the truth. One way or the other. I don't care. If it is a spinning globe and all that, fine. I just want to know the truth. But as far as it goes right now, there's no proof. There's no truth to it spinning. Nobody can prove it. It's all theories and postulates. It's all these huge math equations that nobody understands. These distances that are just, unfathomable. And and we're supposed to just believe it. I love that I saw a picture the other day. What is that? Mars rover's been on Mars for 10 years and never needed any maintenance. Everything has worked perfectly for 10 years. You know, we, you can't buy a Ford, a Chevy. You can't buy a car these days that'll go 10 years with no maintenance. You know, a refrigerator. What do you own that? And in the calmest environments, last 10 years with no maintenance needed. Just hard to believe. And I remember, what's it been? It's been several years ago. They said they were worried about the dust building up on their solar panels, and it's like it just quit building up. It really, only the right, Lee. Right. Yeah, it's it'd be glad. I'd be so glad to find out just a little bit of the truth. I'd be glad to find out. I don't care, about the other resets. What happened in our last reset? What happened there? Because there's a lot of really, really strange stories. And I keep going back to the orphan trains, the Cabbage Patch Kids, all this, just this huge number of children unaccounted for. And they're basically sold off at auction. Their flyers are put out, and we'll bring them to you wherever you're at. We got kids. We got lots of kids. What the freak? I mean, some explanation. Their explanation is ridiculous. It's really not an explanation. They can't point to an event where, oh man, this happened and the adults were wiped out and just children were left and it was a bad situation. Nothing. It's like, oh yeah, in in Europe and stuff, there was illness, there was things, and parents, they say a lot of them gave up their kids, just gave up their kids. How come then all of a sudden in history, this whole generation of people go, I'm done with the kid. Take the kid. I don't care what you do with it. Really? Just all of a sudden? Wow. And it's just this period. Never happened before. Never happened since. It's just this one little stage where all this happened, and then boom. And nobody blinks an eye at the 1896 World's Fair that they built a freaking Romanesque compound there, rivaled by nothing in the country or in the world. And we're supposed to believe that they threw that shit up in a year and then opened the fair for a year and shut it down and tore down a lot of it and left a few. What? I mean, it's just, and I'm still curious about all the amusement parks all over the country. 2,000, I believe, at one point we had amusement parks. At that point in our history, we were told we were just growing. We're just starting to get going. The Industrial Revolution. We're just getting chugging. We're just starting to get things, lined out. But we got time to build these huge amusement parks all over the country. These huge coastal communities with these huge bathhouses, all this shit. But we're struggling. We're just trying to get our feet under us as a country. We're getting our shit together, but we got time to put amusement parks all over the place. And it's, wow, who's building the amusement parks when we're told we're building infrastructure right now? We're just trying to harden the infrastructure. We're trying to get cities, functional, but we're also doing all these other amazing things. It's just, what? Come on, guys. Y'all got to give us some intellectual honesty, because, all the people who swallow this story hook, line, and sinker and refuse to go outside the narrative are the perfectly brainwashed. We've got a group that are so perfectly brainwashed. It's just, it's kind of scary when you see these people and how they refuse reality. You can't convince them otherwise. But when it comes to the whole debate, flat, round, what is it? How come they don't want anybody to know anything outside of their religion? They don't want you to know it. They know there's more to know, and they don't want you to know it. That's the fun part. Is now it's obvious. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot they've been hiding, and they do not want you to know it. They don't want you near it. And people, you look at the Bible, and I can't imagine a greater deception than we've had in our history. Just everywhere you look, deception after deception after deception. It starts and it ends with the the U's, and they've got their finger in every single thing. And anytime you point that out, you're the bad person, truth or not. Yeah, that's a good point, Lee. Was it a situation where the millennial reign was over and we did have this beautiful thing set up, and once the devil was loosed, he took over all the seats of power and corrupted it? Was it? We don't know. Nobody tell us. It's pretty bad when throughout history you're supposed to have these historians, these scholars, these scribes, these people are supposed to be writing down what's going on, and when you find the stuff, it's lacking. And then the things that have anything outside that narrative, well, that's suppressed big time. That is put in into a category with all the kooks, right? How come nobody ever says anything about the old guys that would go town to town doing weather modification? Sorry, they were doing that back in the late 1800s, 1900s. There was a big story about the one in California where the guy came out and it rained for like 6-7 days. They didn't need any more rain. He couldn't stop it. Type of deal. And now these days, chemtrails, weather modification, geoengineering, nah. Well, haven't you seen the papers that the Air Force put out about it? Have you not seen that? You calling that a hoax? Oh, I got a rib out over here. It's killing me. You see those things and you're like, what is that? What do I care? Well, they're telling us right here that they're putting aluminum, barium, strontium, all kinds of different chemicals. They're spraying it in the air, and they're telling us why they're doing it and all that, and you refuse to believe it. Okay, fair enough. But how can you live with the fact that in the early 1900s, the medical establishment that was being established, the agriculture apparatuses being established, all of a sudden just decided that all these natural cures, all these homeopathic remedies are now poison, and you can't use those anymore. You've got to use these chemicals we're creating in a lab that will be better for you than these natural herbs and supplements. That's bad. And we haven't proven those are any good. We haven't tested them in a lab. No, humanity tested them for thousands of years. We don't need you to test them in a lab. Done. Don't need it. We know it works. Especially like cannabis. One of the one of the most amazing plants out there with the largest pharmacological footprint, and they deemed it bad real quick. You can't have that no more. That's a Schedule One drug that will kill you. Why? Why would you do that? And I saw a deal the other day. Who knows this? That the mercury that's in vaccines has not been put through any kind of testing since 1928 when it was first introduced in vaccines. They tested it then. They didn't see any problems. All good. Never tested again. Can you believe that? You believe that? That's pretty sad. That's that's hard to believe. But one time they tested it, never looked back. There was people over the decades going, let's run this through its pace again. Do we need mercury in there? Do we need aluminum? Do we need that stuff in here? Let's look at this again. Nah, you ain't gonna get that. Not in this lifetime. It might show some truth. But it's little things like that if you don't look at it and go, that's wrong. They're hiding something. If you don't see it that way, then you're one of those. You're brainwashed, you're programmed, and you're willing. You're willing to go with whatever they tell you. The appeal to authority is deep within you, and everybody on that side, the globetrotters, they know very little about their own deal. Whitsitt proves that all the time. When he gets in these debates, he can still man their argument and leave them just kind of sitting there dangling in the breeze. And they're learning stuff they should know, but don't. That's one of the funny things is they want to argue with you, but they don't even know what they believe in. And they'll go to the mat with you on it. They'll argue with you. They'll insist you prove to them everything. But when it comes to their side, it's all proven. Even though it's theories and postulates and all that, and it's guesses. It's a lot of guessing. It's a lot of, well, if it's like this, this is probably happening. That's probably what's causing this to happen. And then if that happens, this is going to cause that to happen. And that's what we think is going on. Well, can you prove it? No. We have a math equation that we think is explains some of it, but we have to put some guesses in there because we just don't know. But you've been to space, man. You've been everywhere. You've been everywhere, and you still don't know for sure. You can't put out a fact for us. Yeah. Hey. No, it's another great deal. The big spy plane. The was it the F-71? No, what is it? I forget. How could I forget the name of that? But the big black bird. They say at 2,390 miles an hour, it starts to come apart, right? At Mach, was it Mach 8? 5 to 8, something in there. Yeah, it's around in there. But they say 23,900 miles an hour, as fast as it can go without starting to shells start coming apart. But the space shuttle, big square blocky thing, not aerodynamic, does 25,000 miles an hour without a scratch. 33 times, Mach 33, I believe is what it is. Of course, 33. But imagine that. Just imagine that. That's so ludicrous that our biggest, baddest, fastest, slickest thing we ever built, unparalleled, can only go 2,300 miles an hour, but our space shuttle can go 25,000. That's crazy. How can you honestly hear that and go, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. The uh, the NASA thing is just, I don't know. I've read a few things. Right, right, Lee. I've read a few things that NASA has has gotten to a point where they, how did they put it? Where they where they're kind of skirting. Right, Lee? Very good. Yeah, the Bible in itself, the way the Catholic Church and the way the Jesuits and Schofield, and you just go through the list over the last 500 years or so, and how it's been manipulated and how it's been translated and how it's been changed. It's it's one of those deals that, unless, I believe, unless you have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ and you understand what's going on and you understand his message, what's Jesus' message? You know, love the Father with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, all your neighbor as yourself. If you can understand that concept and live it out, you'll be in the right spot. But it's so hard to get that message with such manipulation. Because when you go to church, they pound the 10 Commandments. Boom, boom, boom. Old Testament, Old Testament. And then in the New Testament, they pound away at the virgin birth and at the resurrection. But they don't point out the important things, like all the healings Jesus did. Those people were healed by their faith. And that's what he told them. You've been healed by your faith. He didn't do it so much. You know what I mean? That if they didn't have that faith, where's the healing? Like the Roman soldier, he knew he didn't even have to be there, that Christ could heal his child, just by their faith. When he's walking through a crowd, and the faith of the woman was so strong, he felt it when she grabbed his garment because of her faith. And the more people realize that it's that faith, and it's that understanding and the pure love of Christ, and that we worship in the spirit, not in the flesh. And that's been the main theme of our society for millennia now, is the flesh. The flesh is what it's about. The flesh. The spirit thing, that's nothing. That's nothing. The spirit, that's crazy. You got to have things. If you don't have status, if you can't provide visual proof that you're a success, well, where are you? What good are you? You having faith in God, what did that get you? It didn't get you millions, unless you're a TV evangelist, right? But we've been hoodwinked. We've been lied to. We've been manipulated. We've been programmed. We've been propagandized. We've been put through quite a scenario, and yet we sit back. Hey, who's out there barking? Stop. What the hell are you barking at, Stanley? What are you barking at? But back on my thought process. If we can find that message in that convoluted Bible they put out. It's one of those deals where the truth really, really, really starts coming true. Yeah, yeah. The Father is the way. El Elyon. You call no man Father, no man Father, and that's one of the things the Catholic Church. Father, Father, Father. Ooh, the Father. Wow. I I never call one of those guys Father. I'm not Catholic, but I wouldn't do it. That's crazy. But he wrote the word on our hearts. He it's on our hearts. We are born with the Spirit. Can we maintain it? Can we keep that faith? Can we understand the love of the Father? Can we? Can we get there? And for those people who do, it makes for, I believe, a more satisfying life when your spiritual life is right. The material world is just, it's one of those things that for those who walk the narrow path as much as possible, the material things they're secondary. We need food, we need shelter, we need those things. But by the grace of God, we know those will be provided. You don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow will take care of itself. You watch today. Come here, Stanley. Quit whining. Hi, Sargie. We've been so propagandized in the church and everything else that it's hard to get the message. They indoctrinate us so much about works, over spirit. And back when I was doing stuff with Alan, I said 1,000 times, people kept going, "Oh, you think it's by works?" No, it's no, it's like the Bible says, it is not by works alone. But if you have faith and you understand that, you will do the works. You won't do it because you're going, "Ooh, I need this to get into heaven." No, it's because the spirit of giving and love is what you have now. You're not in the flesh, and you understand that. And they want to twist it and say, like the prosperity preachers, is that it's obvious you're not a good Christian if you're not getting wealthy. If you're not prospering, then yeah, you maybe need to tithe some more and sow some seeds for prosperity, right? And it's just one of those deals of the narrative and the message have been so twisted and perverted that people are like, the bigger the church, the better the God. Man, if I don't go to a big old church, 10,000 people there, obviously God's there. Why would all those people go? Well, kind of like the same reason they go to a football game or anything else. They think that's the thing to do. It's fun. That's what they like. They get, some kind of feeling that this is right out of it, but what is it? Because you would think if the Holy Spirit was in one of those churches, that those churches wouldn't be the way they are. That those preachers would be way more humble, way more conservative, way more charitable. I mean, I think it'd be a whole different picture. I think instead of building these huge cathedral churches, they would build, housing and shelter and, set up places to take care of the orphan and the widow, like Jesus told us. He says, you take care of them first, But, we don't seem to do those things. We seem to take those orphans and abuse them, put them into a system that ruins their lives. We don't take care of them. The widows, we put them in nursing homes and they're neglected and abused. We don't do anything Christ told us to do. We just don't as a society. But we still have faith. We still know Father wins in the end, but it's just a struggle through it, right? But he said, If you're not persecuted in my name, you ain't doing it right. Because you will be if you're doing it right. The Babylon Bee has a good skit about before the crucifixion and stuff, and the disciples are gathered together. He's like, "Okay, guys, we've got a plan. Here's what we're gonna do. Okay, they're gonna arrest Jesus, and they're gonna crucify him and stuff, and he's gonna be raised from the dead, and it's gonna be great. We're gonna have victory over death, and then we're gonna be murdered. I'm gonna be beheaded. You're gonna be stoned to death. It's gonna be great." And they're like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! Hang on. Do what again? What's gonna happen?" He's like, "Oh, it's gonna be great. The Savior's gonna be, crucified, and then we're gonna be all murdered. It's gonna be great." And they're like, "Oh, whoa! Are you sure you want to do this?" Yeah, it's that, and we had so many arguments with a few dumbasses on Alan's channel about the works deal, and they couldn't get that concept. That once you have the word on your heart and you're walking that narrow path, the charity is just part of it. It's not a conscious thing where you go, "Okay, I did 1, 2, 3 things today. Yeah, I'm getting closer to heaven." No, it's natural. It's natural. And that's what the Spirit does. And when you worship in the Spirit and you live in the Spirit and you work daily to be in the Spirit, things change. Right. And like it says, you'll know the tree by its fruit. That tree puts off that fruit because that tree does what's right. It's a nature thing. It's a frequency thing. It's a follow God's plan. He's got a perfect plan for us. He does. He's got a perfect plan. And when you realize that, it just comes down to loving your neighbor and the Father. And once you can do that in a pure fashion, not a materialistic fashion. So many people get that crooked that, okay, if I do this, this, and this, I dress this way, I go to the right church, I do these things, then I'll be getting on that path. And that's a funny thing. Everybody wants a group healing and saving instead of the individual. If we just do it individual, you get right with God and I get right with God, and you and I are going to make a difference. But if we don't get right with God, we're just going to be churning, going nowhere, spinning our tires. But when the whole establishment of the last, I guess I'm going to go 1,000 years, has been nothing but evil, murderous, coveting, materialistic leadership everywhere, every time, no matter what country you turn to. There's no benevolent leaders in our history that came along and lifted their people up and then improved things. They're all conquerors. They're all materialistic. They're all about the world. And we I think we're lucky to be living in this time, man. We're at a fourth turning here, and stuff's fixing to go crazy. They're going to do it again. Yeah, I mean, one of the things I've learned over the last several years is, I think I've said it before, is I was on a delusion for a long time that where the Bible spoke of them worshiping other gods and stuff, I thought of it as just like an idol, that it had no influence in their life. They just chose it, or somebody chose it for them, and it wasn't real. But then the more I studied, the more I learned those other entities were real. There were other gods, lesser gods. And Jesus says his Father sits in the, how does it go? uh, how does it say it? He sits at the council of the gods. He is the God, but there are lesser gods. And when that finally hit me, that wow, these people were doing these things because these gods were affecting their lives. They were affecting their lives. They were bringing weather. They were taking away weather. They were requiring sacrifices. And until that hit me, I was like, okay, these people are just imaginary gods they were worshiping, but it wasn't. And the fallen angels, once I learned about the fallen angels, the 200 and how they functioned on earth, and wow, everything changed for me. Everything changed for me because I was under this delusion that it was that bloodthirsty God of the Old Testament was the Father. It wasn't the Father. Father doesn't do that. And until I realized that when Jesus said, "My Father does not tempt," then that went all the way back to Genesis, where Eve was tempted in the garden. But Jesus said, "My Father does not tempt." He didn't do it. So I was like, wow, oh, wow, wow, that is a whole different thing. And even up to a couple of years ago, I, 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 I believed that. And then now, wow, I do not believe that. Yahweh, the lesser God, is what we hear about mostly in the Old Testament. He's a bloodthirsty God. He requires sacrifice. Jesus said, "My Father does not require sacrifice." He doesn't. He's pure love. He's pure light. And being told my whole life that, God allows evil to happen is, for me, I was like, he allows it, or what's the world like if you got to have both? You can't have good without bad. You can't have bad without good, the way I understand it. And the angels that rebelled, they rebelled. I mean, did he let them rebel? It's a big philosophical thing we can look at. And this is what the atheists do all the time, is like, well, if he's so loving, why does he let all these things happen? Why does he do all that? Well, those kind of things don't change his love, you know? I don't know what you mean in there, Lee. Called himself the Son of Man. Like I say, the teachings have been so convoluted that the scriptures have been translated and rewritten. Oh, you have to find some of these people that are autistic and do these deep dives into this literature and read the stuff that we're unwilling to read and translate and go through and just do the work. There's a lot that we don't know. There's a lot that's been changed. Oh, sure. The Father's not a man. No. The God the Father is not a man, and that's one of those deep questions, is where it talks about the council of the gods, 200 of them. And that kind of just takes me to the edge of my understanding, where I'm like, okay, I know one thing. There is the Father who is pure love and pure light, and that's his spirit is in me, and the word is written on my heart, and if I seek it, I will find it. If I strive to understand, if I work on my consciousness. A lot of people, I'm reading a lot of stuff. One guy says, our consciousness is God. And if we can get our consciousness, that's our conduit to God, that we can manifest through Him and the Spirit once we get there, once we realize and have that understanding that we can get that narrow path, and it's not easy to stay on, because the closer you get to that narrow path, the more the world tries to knock you off of it, I believe. And when we get propagandized so bad, it's hard. People are not strong. They need support to stay in this game, because man, the devil has thousands of ways to throw you off track, and number one is money, and number two is sex. And I think right there in line with that is alcohol and drugs. They just boom, 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 stacks those up, and man, away you go. And some people would say, "Oh, what are you doing saying about drugs? You smoke weed." Well, it's a natural herb. God gave it to us. He gave it to us with all these properties in it for healing. And I use it rather than the petroleum poison. I only take one medication, and that's for my seizures. And it's an antihistamine. And that's what I thought that was weird when I first started taking seizure medicines, that it's actually just an antihistamine. And I'm like, I don't know how that works, but it works. Keeps me from having seizures. But the petroleum poison versus natural remedies is a no-brainer to me, right? And they tell me the opposite, that no, you can't trust nature. You have to trust us. Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I was listening to this guy, and they said the reason Jesus used parables was because he wanted people to, number one, think about the big picture. Okay, give them A, B, and C scenario, right? It's a linear thing. If he does this, this, and this is where you go. And that he didn't quote scripture. He gave them parables. And this guy says the reason he didn't give scripture, he would refer back to, did it not say, like in the Torah, did y'all not say this? And quote the scripture so much as he just pointed, look, y'all said this, but it was this, if I remember that correctly. And that the parables, or I guess you'd say a calmer, less radical way to give that lesson, because we saw what happened in the temple when he went in there and taught, and they just lost their minds, going, whoa, you think you're God? You think you whoa. So it's amazing how after all this time we're still trying to get the truth about God's word. We're still searching for filling in between the lines. What did they take out? What did they change words on? What have they done? And it's a hell of a maze to navigate these days. It starts with stuff like the flat earth. It starts with stuff like that. Why did they do that? All of a sudden, boom, all the books, everybody believed the earth was flat, and no reason to believe it was spinning. And, they claimed these guys back in, what are the hundreds, 200,000, that that they decided it was round. That's hard to believe. That is just, I don't know about that. If I didn't know anything about this earth and I walked outside and I observed nature for a while, I can't see myself going, this is crazy. We are spinning. Wow, isn't this crazy? Everything else is sitting still and I'm spinning and I'm chasing it. And yeah, how do you get there? How do you get there? Especially if your reference up to that point is God's word, is the Bible saying, it's firmly on its pillars, it's unmoving. You can, pull a curtain across it like a tablecloth. All the things that are said in the Bible about the earth and its character. Nothing suggests that it's spinning until all of a sudden they say these people, they did these measurements and they decided that this is what we are. What? Up until then, it wasn't even, who looks up and thinks that's a ball? It's a light. God they put the lights in the sky and what? That's something that gets me, is that we know that the moon and the sun, the stars, our whole solar system is for times, dates, seasons. It works. We've observed it. It works. We can use it. And they dismiss it. They dismiss it and say, oh, it's just by happenstance. Everything stays where it is. It's just by happenstance. It's the Big Bang. It threw everything into motion and everything just lined up perfectly to give me this equation to give you that shows why it's working. What? It's just crazy. Just crazy. Oh, I need to upload that video. I was at the ATM. It's been about a month ago. And I'm under the awning. My truck is right here. The ATM is right there. And right on the ground by the curb is a Coke bottle. And it's about half full. It's just crazy. This is one of the things that I think proves the stars are like plasma energies, and the firmament is water, and it makes the sparkle effect. Because I'm standing there, I'm doing the ATM, and I look down, and on the front of the ATM, it looks like a star twinkling. The sun is coming in, hitting that bottle, and it's reflecting onto the front of the ATM. And I video, I'm like, this is freaking crazy, because I'm in the shade completely, right? Completely shaded. And the sun rays have to be coming in at an angle. It can't come in straight. And they're hitting that bottle and reflecting it onto the front of that. And it looked cool as hell. It looked like a star. It's just sitting there. You're seeing a swimming pool, the way it flickers when the sun's hitting it. Just a spot about that big, sitting there just flickering on the side of the deal. I was like, another flat earth proof. Another flat earth proof. If it's a ball, that doesn't happen. From where I'm standing and where the sun is at, where the bottle is, and the reflection. All the angles that had to happen. And there's no way it's a ball. Yeah, right, Lee. I don't know if you've on my other videos, Lee, I've talked about the Sons of God ministry. This guy Josh. This dude he's got some cool stuff. He's hit on. He's one of those autistic guys I'm talking about that's done the deep dive, read all the old literature, gone through all the correspondence. He's done the deep dive, and I highly suggest you go watch some of his stuff. I had been with Ashley and Jason talking about him a little bit, and months back, first of the year, I asked him. I had asked him to go watch some of his videos and then come back and we could talk about them. Well, they didn't. They didn't go watch them. and they wanted to argue with me. And I told them I just haven't got it all down enough to give you every little detail you need. Go watch the videos, and then we can talk. Um, right, right. Well, and this guy Josh, you need to go watch his stuff. He says that, like the translation in that, what you're talking about, Lee, is that Jesus eliminated sin because the Word, the Torah, the the stone tablet, the Mosaic laws created. I guess the best way to put it is created the conditions for sin, right? Laid out this that if you did this and this, then you had to do a sacrifice. That was a sin, and so therefore you had to daily, I'm guessing daily, weekly, do sacrifices, or you weren't covered, sins weren't forgiven. And that when Jesus came, died, and rose, he, how would you say it? He surpassed the law of the stone tablets, um, or basically, how would you say it? Uh, negated, negated, because all of that, all of that was not of the Father. It wasn't of the Father, as the best way I understood it. Because sin, the way I understood it, was outlined and categorized and defined in the Mosaic laws. And so when you get rid of those Mosaic laws, you get rid of sin. Does that make sense? That's the way I took it. And like Jesus told the woman at the well, just have faith and go and sin no more. And he never said, go back to the Old Testament, read through that, and figure out how to not sin anymore. We never referred to them for people to go and just, hey, go back and read what they said and do it that way. No, this is a new, this is a new thing. You didn't get this message, from the beginning. Now I've got to come demonstrate it for you, live it. I have to live it so you can see it's going to be done. I'm going to live it, and I'm going to show you the way, and I'm going to be there for you. You call my name, I will answer. You knock on the door, it'll be opened. All you have to do is seek. And I think modern society has been brainwashed into religion as, God's going to come to you. I've heard a lot of people say, oh, Jesus came into my heart. Did you call him in, or did he just show up? A lot of people I've seen that, hey, he took care of me. He came and he took care of me, and he came into my life that day. And you weren't saying, please, Lord, come into my heart. I need your way. I need your comfort. It's weird how so many people think he comes into them, and he's already there. You just have to let him free. And one of the cool things I saw was this monk. I believe they said it was a monk. He had read the Torah, and he had read uh, um, the Quran. He'd read Buddha's Hindu stuff. He'd read all this stuff, but he had never read the New Testament, I believe. Yeah, that's the story. He hadn't read the New Testament. So he read the New Testament. When he was done, they asked him, well, so what do you think about that? He said, well, he said, this is new. This is whole different thing. He said, all those other religions say, that their God exists outside of them. But this one says God exists in you. None of the others say their God exists in you. Only this one is the only one that says he exists in you. And that makes sense to him. That made sense to him. All the other stuff he had read didn't really make any sense. It was totally separation from their God. They had to sacrifice, they had to do things to their God to get close to it. But with the New Testament, he's right here. He's in you. All you have to do is acknowledge it. And I thought that was pretty cool. You know, those guys, they're supposed to be pretty tuned in. But disturbing thing I'm starting to see is this new age mysticism where people are saying, oh, like Oprah and all them say, there's many paths to God, there's many paths. And these people think, oh, if I just get spiritual in nature spirit, not so much God's spirit, I'll find God. I'll get there. I'll get there. Well, unless you're seeking him, I don't think you're just going to randomly bump into him in your little spiritual journey or your, I don't know. I think you, like you said, call my name. If you don't call his name, what are you expecting? What are you looking for? Because there's a lot of people that do a lot of meditation, do a lot of those things, but are they making that connection? I'm sure I can't see how it wouldn't make them, feel better daily. Sure, that feels better when you can find some peace and relaxation and meditation. That sure helps. But I don't know. I don't think anything could give me more comfort than knowing that the Father loves me with a love that's unmatched. That I'm special to Him, and that there's a little piece of Him in me. I'm a and yeah, that was one thing Josh kind of pointed out that I never really thought of, is that, okay, I'm made in his image. He made me. So I do have a speck of divinity in me. If I could just realize it and let it manifest in the right way, we can do amazing things. But it's hard for our programmed minds to realize that we have the power in us. We have the ability. It's just letting go of the world and realizing that it's real. Yeah, that's one of those deals, man, that I think a lot of people, you know, when they think about God that way, I think it's just so much of the modern world they try to incorporate into God, into his love, is that, they want the materialism along with the faith, and they're not willing to sacrifice for the faith. They're not willing. It was like during the pandemic, where so many people sacrificed their morals and their principles and their beliefs for a job, for their job. They didn't want to lose their job. And they were willing to leave their faith and their principles behind for a material world, instead of having faith that, okay, Lord, it's in your hands. I'm not going to put this poison in me. You'll take care of me. I have faith. But so many people didn't have that faith. They said, okay, I'll do whatever you say. Instead of taking that leap of faith and saying, the Lord, well, he'll provide. He will provide. I can't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow will take care of itself. The bird doesn't worry about, where he'll get his food. He knows God will provide every day. They don't worry about it. But we do. We sit and we worry. What about tomorrow? What about tomorrow? Instead of living today the way we're supposed to live, in faith and in love and understanding. It's one of those deals. And in this modern world, with all the propaganda and the bombardment with the immorality in the material world, wow, It's hard for people to break out of that. It's hard. When all you're ever shown is the only way to success is money and material goods, and just if you can't show it on the outside, how much money you have, then what good are you? Instead of showing the love you have inside, and driving a lesser car, instead of giving compassion and love and understanding to people, you tell them how much your car costs. You brag about living in a gated community. Yeah. It's bad. Me and Kathy have been talking. Our next move, man, we are downsizing so big. We are going to go as minimal as possible. I look around this garage, and oh my gosh, I got so much junk, just stuff. And then over the years, you accumulate, and I used all the tools. I used everything, but golly, I look up there, I got 5 different hammers up there on that pegboard. It's just, oh my God. But downsizing, just clutter. Just got to get rid of it all. I'm going to do my best to just transition down to a minimal existence with materialism. I do it here already, but I'm gonna grow more of my food than I ever have. Or probably next time wherever we go, we're gonna have enough land. I want to have animals. I want to get some chickens. I want to get a steer. I want to start providing my own food and stuff, because you can't get anything worth putting in your body at the store anymore. It's just the poison everywhere. I don't know if y'all saw, but JFK Jr. he's saying, they all say stuff, that he says if Trump gets elected, he's gonna go after the FDA. Really? He says, yeah, there's so much poison in our food. The FDA, has dropped the ball. They're not doing the job. He's gonna go after big pharma. When he says those kind of things, you gotta wonder, are his days numbered? Because we know that the synagogue of Satan is not gonna have interruptions in their poisoning of our food supply. They've been doing it for a long time, and it's probably their biggest psyop on us is our food. I really believe that now, that's the biggest psyop they've done, is basically ruining our food supply, from taking it from an all natural diet where before the 1800s, mid 1800s, they tell us people didn't live to be certain ages. They tell us that it was rough. They tell us that there was like the Black Plague. They tell us these things, but was there really? Because these people ate naturally. It's hard to believe that their bodies would be that susceptible to any kind of disease process while eating so healthy. It makes no sense to me. And then in the 1900s, when they start manipulating our food supply, when they start putting together the big slaughterhouses, when they start putting together, the big agriculture, where they start introducing preservatives and chemicals and stuff into our food, they tell us it's perfectly healthy. It's fine. We tested it. It's good. It's below the allotted amount that would hurt you, so therefore it won't hurt you. That's what gets me now, looking back at my life, where they're going, yeah, it's in there, but it's not enough to hurt you. But if I eat it every day, will it be enough to hurt me? Because this one serving you say isn't enough, but if I have 5 servings, then what? It's the manipulation of everything. It's just scary. It's just scary. I remember one of the first things I ever learned about like medicines was that aspirin was made from the bark of a tree. Natural, right? What else did we need? Then comes Tylenol and ibuprofens and all these synthetics to replace aspirin. Then they started telling us, oh, aspirin it's not good for you. It'll tear your stomach up. And it's like just everything natural. They start telling us, oh no, it's bad. It's bad this way. Yeah, it's we just the programming. It's just terrible. I put an app on my phone to scan food when I go to the store, and it gives it, a thumbs up or a thumbs down to whether it's got forever chemicals and stuff in it, if it's GMO'd. And oh my God, ain't hardly anything in those damn stores that don't have something bad for us in it. It's just wow. And the nefarious thing they do is most of the fruit won't scan. It won't scan. So you have to know the codes. You have to know the 4-digit code and what's organic and what's been sprayed and then what is GMO. If you don't know those codes, you're going to just be buying GMO food, which is just hollow. It's nothing. It's no good for you. And if RFK Jr. gets in with Trump and he goes balls to the wall on the FDA and starts, hey Eric, what's up, bud? If he goes balls to the wall on the FDA and starts cleaning this shit up and starts, getting the food supply back more healthy, amen. Bravo. Go for it, bud. But they ain't gonna let it happen. They ain't gonna let it happen. Do you know the $1 billion industry the additive and preservative business is? And there's plenty of documentation out there of why they did it. Shelf life is it. They weren't selling enough product. It was going bad before they could sell it all. So they were like, this is bullshit, man. This stuff's got to stay on the shelf longer. We got to give more time to sell it or we're out of business. So they started doing preservatives, man. And people they loved it. Nobody went, what? What's going on? I remember as a kid, the bread guy every morning would be at 7-Eleven because we would stop our way to school, go in there and get a drink, get something, get a snack. And the bread guy was every day. He was delivering fresh bread every day. And now it's, you know, I had a friend whose dad was a bread delivery guy. And every morning, like 4 o'clock, he'd get up in the morning. He had to drive to I want to say to Lubbock or Abilene, 100-mile drive. Had to drive there, go to the facility, load up on his bread, fresh bread, and go and deliver them every day, fresh bread. And now I'm pretty sure from what I've seen, that ain't the way it goes anymore because this stuff has such a long shelf life, and it's just wow. What they've done to our food supply is just wow. That's the biggest psyop to me. Because if you keep people sick, then it's easy to keep them dumb. Because when you don't feel good, you're just not going to pay attention much. And if you don't pay a lot of attention, they can get a lot by on you. And once they got you convinced that all you need is a pill and you'll feel better, they got you. They got you. It's one of those deals where we bought into the psyop so much that big medicine has the answers. When if you look back in the last 50 years in my lifetime alone, there are more illnesses now than ever. There are more sick people now than ever. There are more hospitals now than ever, more doctors, more nurses, more everything than ever. And we're sicker than ever. They've never fixed a single freaking thing. You would think, and I laughed during the hoax that flu went away. No flu. My wife, been in the medical field for 30 years, been a CNO for 24 years, and she gets reports every year about their flu numbers, right? Every year. During the hoax, zero flu, all CVs, all, no flu. And my first inclination was, why isn't there a press conference of them touting they have cured the flu? That's gone. There's no flu. This 2 years almost, no flu. Really? Y'all cured it and nobody's saying a word. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Our biggest problem every year, they claim flu season, cold and flu season. Now you've cured it. Flu is gone. But is it now? I saw a deal yesterday. New medication coming out. CV/flu treatment. What? Now the big hoax is just the flu? Really? That's just what? It's just wow. The psyop. The psyop. The drugs and the food. They're killing us. But they don't want to kill us real fast because they need us to keep paying taxes. They need us to keep paying healthcare premiums. They need us to keep buying pharmaceuticals. They don't want to kill us too quick. You gotta taper it real slow. Long, drawn out drug, pump full of drugs, illnesses just keep you sick. And it works. It works. You know how many people, oh my God, the obesity rate in this country, all of it. Oh my God. And it's all caused by our food. And a lot of us know it. A lot of us are doing our best to avoid those poisons. It's hard because there's not a lot of choices out there. I feel so bad that in the 80s and 90s, I made the jokes about the granola eating hippies, about you organic people, all that. I was brainwashed. I was buying into the narrative. And now, oh my God, I see what you're talking about, hippie. I see what you're freaking talking about, dude. This food is terrible. And I guarantee there ain't a person, if they're honest, that hasn't walked into like a garden at a family's house and just the smell of fresh tomatoes, the smell of a fresh garden, it's different. The tomatoes you buy at stores, they have no taste. They're big fat things, but they ain't no taste. But when we first saw those big ass tomatoes, we were like, whoa, shit. I don't have to buy 3 tomatoes. I buy 1 of those. And we were sold. Got that corn, big old huge ears of corn. When I was a kid, corn was that big. It wasn't this damn big. It's crazy. But we bought it. We were like, this is great. This is great. Thank you, Big Pharma. Thank you, Big Ag. It happened right under our noses. Our generation. Our generation. Generation X. Our parents sold us down the river for their retirements, for their pensions, for their prosperity, for their low housing costs, for their low, cost of living. They saved their money, they invested their money, and they're doing fine. But this 4Z generation, these kids, man, they're struggling. I couldn't imagine trying to buy a house as a young person now. That would just be wow. Right. Isn't that funny, Lee? It is. We would call sick to stay home and watch The Price is Right and stuff. And they're like, yeah, no, you're going to school. And now it's just, you're not, yeah, it's crazy. But it's, when you see those numbers, like JFK was talking about the hepatitis B vaccine they're giving kids now. Why would you give kids of newborn a vaccine for something that is bloodborne and sexually transmitted? Why? That just makes no sense. And he said that in one of the studies, a large majority of the kids in the study uh, had adverse reactions to it, but they keep doing it. It's the same with the vitamin K deal, because one kid at some point or some kid somewhere had a bleeding problem at birth. They just went, okay, never again. Across the board, every baby is getting this. We don't care. We're never going to have another single newborn have a bleeding problem, a bleeding disorder. We're just not going to have it. We're going to give it to every kid, whether they need it or not. And that's just ridiculous. That's the same with all the vaccines. Well, they've proven the Amish community, without any medical intervention in their lives, have none of these problems. They don't have autistic kids. They don't have this shit happening. But boy, the secular world does. The ones that we pump our kids with every freaking poison they tell us to. Kills me is these parents who don't even question it. I didn't. When my kids were young, we took them to their pediatrician appointments. We got their vaccines. We didn't know any different. Me and my wife are in the medical field. It's pushed hard. It's a holy grail in the medical field. You know, towards the end of my career, they were getting so bad with the vaccines that if I wasn't up to date on all my vaccines or had a titer for every vaccine they needed that showed I had immunity, they wouldn't hire me. They wouldn't hire me at all. I had to have all that proof. So instead of taking vaccines, I went and got titers done. And they tried to convince me that, oh, your tetanus titer, it's borderline. You probably need a tetanus. No, I don't need a tetanus. What do you mean borderline? I don't trust your freaking numbers anyway. I'll take my chances. And what's so bad is they've convinced everybody is that I'm going to endanger everyone I come across if I don't have those vaccines, which is crazy. What? Hey, I'm going to give someone tetanus because I don't have the vaccine? How? It's so nefarious. The whole thing is it's so crooked. And it all wraps together, whether you see it or not, with the religion, with pharma, with finance, with education, religion, government. It's all this big encompassing psyop to keep you dumb, to keep you sick, and keep you providing. You just got to pay your taxes. Pay them. You got to pay up or you don't participate. And once we say you don't participate, by God, you don't participate. Yeah, Eric. I mean, since I quit taking pharmaceuticals for the first couple of years when I hurt my back, I'd taken some Loratabs, and I hated that shit. Didn't like it. I've gotten off everything I could ever get off of except for the one thing for my seizures. And I'm hoping that through some different therapies, frequency, red light, different stuff with this people over in Louisiana, that I can maybe get off seizure medication someday. It's a poison, but it ain't as bad as some of the other stuff they wanted me to take. And, you just the whole encompassing, whether it's flat earth, whether it's pharma, agriculture, government, military industrial complex, you name it. You can't sling a dead cat without hitting the psyop of the devil. They just keep slinging them at us. And it's funny how we're still talking about the JFK assassination, but they're done talking about the attempt on Trump. There's done. It didn't really happen. The Reagan deal is still talked about Reagan's attempted assassination, but nobody talks about it. And then, so what? Somebody tried to kill a guy. So what? He didn't die. So what? He probably brought it on himself. He probably set it up himself. All those conspiracy theories is great. It's great. But this flat Earth thing, guys, we got to keep at it. It's got to come through. It's got to come true. I want to know one way or the other. You know, if it is a globe, fine. Just prove it to me. But if it's not, show me. Tell me. Quit hiding it. Why are you hiding it? That's what bothers me. Is that why hide it? You got to have some reason. There's something that's going to change everything for you if we find out. I think that's the big deal. Is everything will change for them if we find out. There's going to be some reckoning. And Trumpy the other day says, when he gets elected, all these people that did all this stuff are going to be prosecuted. There's going to be jail time, and there's going to be consequences. Okay? What do you think? What do you think? I think if he wins before he even wins, before he even gets sworn in, it's just going to be chaos. It's just going to be chaos. The left is going to they're going to throw the kitchen sink at it. Eric, is there going to be a reckoning? Is it? Or are they part of it? Are they going to be squishy on it? Yeah, Lee. It's I don't see them. I don't see them backing off. I don't see them backing off. Going, okay, fine. It's your choice. It's your choice. No, they pushed this greater good story for too long. That's been their foundation. Is everything we do for the greater good. If we lose a few million people to save a billion, it's worth it. It's worth it. That's their ends justify the means. They don't see it any other way. When you're an elite like that and you don't eat poison food and you don't take poison pharmaceuticals and you don't, have to struggle through life, you don't have any, how would you say it? You don't have any basic needs in your life. You have all the money, everything you'll ever need. And they don't eat this food. There's no way they do. These people don't live to be in their 90s and stuff by eating this poison. They'll have their private chefs. Their private chefs, I'll go buy organic only for them. And they know the consequences to the shit. They know to not do that. They know better. Because they invented it. They invented it. And think about that. That's just... They knowingly, for money and money alone, money and power, have poisoned us. For money and power. They poisoned our water. They poisoned our food, our schools, our science, our governments. They've soiled it all. There's not an honest institution out there. Find one. Find one honest institution out there. They're all corrupt. When you're a corporation, only thing that matters is profits. If you don't, that's what's crazy. Think about that. If a corporation has a quarter without a profit, shit starts, going bad. They start firing people. And until they get the profits back up, it's hell to pay. Instead of having a status quo of this is how much we make to sustain us, to pay wages, to do our overhead, they're never happy right here. They always have to get bigger. They always have to get bigger. Every quarter has to have growth. If you don't have growth, you're dying, they say. You can't find a happy medium where your products are sold, you provide them, everybody gets paid well. and it's right there. You just stay right there. No, it's always got to get bigger, bigger, bigger. And then they get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then they crash, right? It's just crazy. I haven't seen I Pet Goat 3. I've seen the first two. Nelly, I hadn't seen the third one. I have to search it out. I saw the other two. That's pretty creepy. Those are crazy. But it's those things. It's those kind of things, guys, that all these truths have been coming out. And it's like people just are ignoring it. They're like, okay, fine, but so? It's like, what do you mean so? They have been lying, cheating, stealing, poisoning, brainwashing. They've been doing it all to us. And we're showing you proof and you don't care? What am I going to do? Stop complying? That's the only way out? I think the only way out is just don't comply. You just got to, no, I'm not going to do it. Some people are going to go to jail. Some people, like Christ says, you will be persecuted in my name. And as long as we stand up for godly principles, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy at all. Everybody wants it to be easy. Christ told us it ain't going to be easy. This ain't easy. What happened to the disciples? They didn't get to go and live long and happy lives afterwards. They were martyred. All of them. Done deal. What do we expect? We expect some little rosy path that we're not going to get any pushback or not get any flack. I don't know where it started, but I still laugh when I hear these atheists go, you believe in some spaghetti god in the sky? Who came up with that? Oh, that's some spaghetti god. Okay, whatever. But, come on, guys. Christians, faithful, we can do this. We can do this. We understand. We are the body of Christ. We are the church. All we have to do is get in the spirit, and we're all connected. And that's the beauty of it. With the frequency and the love of God, when we all get on that narrow path, we're connected, and we create a bigger energy. We create a bigger influence, and like the Bible says, show your faith by your fruit. By your fruit, they will know you. And if you're not known by your fruit, if you're known by anything else, then you're not doing it right. You're not doing it right. I had somebody one time, and it's one of those deals where I don't even like repeating it, but they told me, they said, you seem just so calm. You just, why? I said, because I have faith. I have faith. This is in God's hands. All I can do is do my best to follow his word, love my neighbor, worship him, pray to him, without ceasing, right? That's what he tells us. Pray without ceasing. Be still and know that I am God. And, when you can come to those realizations, I think it's going to take a lot of pressure off of you, give you freedom to express yourself and give you greater understanding. I think that's the hardest thing, is people to drop the psyop and the programming and get out from under that programming and start learning truth. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's, you got to give up a little freedom for security. That's always been their ploy. Safety. We're keeping you safe. And, you're going to have to take your shoes off at the airport. And since then, has anybody ever tried to ever bring, some kind of device in a shoe ever again? No, not that I know of, but they still make you take them off. They still, why? I don't understand why you have to take off a belt. Why do you have to do these things? This is just so ridiculous. Everybody's seeing the deals where when tested, the TSA fails constantly. Stuff gets through on them that, is unacceptable, but they stop grandma and make her throw out her shampoo and her mouthwash and make her throw all these liquids out because they're in too big of a bottle. It's just all this craziness they thrust on us in the name of security. All the things they do in the name of safety and security, national security. Well, that started with Obama. That was a big deal for them. It's a national security issue. Everything's a national security issue. Right. It's just, what are we going to do, guys, other than, pray without ceasing, you know, turn your attention to God and have your faith and, walk that narrow path, because they ain't going to give an inch. They're not going to give an inch. I think if Trump gets in, and they haven't even talked about it, nobody said a word about it, I think they need to pass a law that says you cannot be elected to any office in the United States, dog catcher all the way to president, if you have dual citizenship. With any other country, I don't care who it is, you just can't have dual citizenship and be elected official. Done. That's simple. Right. I mean, they don't consider anything able to keep you safe other than them. They're the only ones that can keep us safe. Without the government, oh my gosh, we would be invaded. It would be just terrible. It'd be chaos. Without the federal government and their diplomacy. You mean without their money laundering? Okay, little country, here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you $3 billion. Then we're going to send in contractors, and they're going to, rebuild some of your infrastructure for you, and you're going to pay them with that money. And then they're going to come back and they're going to donate half of that money back to me. And that's the way the system works. And if you don't like it, then you don't participate. You pay to play or you don't play. And that's the scary thing. That's the scary thing. So what I see, that deal, there's a new deal about Fauci out. I want to say, when in the 70s, they developed a drug at the NIH. They developed a drug there. Fauci took it, got the patent on it, and then sold it. Well, our tax dollars at the NIH developed this, right? He took it personally, got the patent on it, and then marketed it and got paid. We're just setting this guy up in business. We're just letting him, we develop a drug through one of our agencies. He likes it. He gets to take it, patent it, make money off of it. How is that? How does that freaking work? How does that work in any setting other than the government? How? It doesn't. It only works with them. And that Vivek Ramaswamy, he's saying 75% of the bureaucracy gone. Oh, that would be amazing. Think about that, guys. Think about that. And I know the only thing the left will be able to scream and holler is, oh, you're putting all these people out of work. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. What work do they do? Do they do anything for us other than just sucking off the teeth of the American taxpayer? My wife had a friend that worked in Washington, D.C., and I asked her, I said, ask that girl what she does every day. What's her job every day? And she talked to her and she said, well, she worked for the State Department and she was a processor, and she would receive emails and she would read through these emails and she would decide who needed to be forwarded to and, who got to see it. And that's all she did. She just forwarded emails and stuff every day. That was it. She didn't bring any knowledge to the table. She didn't bring a function that made a difference. And there's thousands of them, tens of thousands of them that just sit at a computer screen and forward emails and forward correspondence back and forth. It's crazy. It's crazy. And we get told that without this enormous government, without this, it all falls apart. It all falls apart. We have to have every agency doing all their jobs And like Vivek said, we got to get in there. Number one, just get rid of the redundancy. Oh my God, all these things overlap. And you come to this department going, hey, aren't you supposed to be dealing with this? They're like, yeah, that's not us, that's them. And they go over and ask them, they're like, yeah, we have this part of it, but then they have the rest of it. They go, okay, this went wrong. Whose problem is it? Well, that's not us. Is that you? No, that's not. There's no accountability anywhere. That's what that drives me crazy. Accountability. Geez, working in the medical field, that's all there is accountability. You're accountable for what what you're doing, what you've done, and what you're gonna do. You fuck up, you're accountable. Your name's on it. You're there. I mean, there's no getting out of it. But boy, you get in the government, you can wreak havoc. No accountability, none. The regulatory state. Oh my God, they talk big. They've talked big my whole life. They all talk big. They all talk, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. Now, I knew Trump wasn't 100% copacetic when he started that whole Space Force deal. What? Space Force? Are you kidding me? It just gets more ridiculous. Okay, another $1 billion agency we're just going to make out of thin air. And just start giving them billions of dollars to do what? Oh, we're going to patrol space. We're going to make sure nobody else has any presence in space militarily. What? It's sad. It's sad. I don't think Trump is answer to anything. I think it's just going to be a reshuffling of the cards. It's going to be a little bit of a new optic. But behind the scenes, the underbelly, the dirty politics ain't gonna change. Ain't gonna change at all. Too much money in it. Too much money, too many big players. Ain't gonna happen. Not happening. But they talk big. They talk big. They give people a lot of hope. They give people a lot of platitudes to debate on. Oh, he's gonna do this. She's gonna do that. Ain't nobody ever done anything they ever said they were going to do. It's all gotten worse since I was consciously paying attention to politics. It's gotten worse. Every single stinking one of them comes in going, I'm going to do better than you've ever seen before. I'm the one. And they're not the one. And somebody in this next administration needs to press them on the flat earth deal. Okay, you sons of bitches say you want to change everything. Y'all say you're gonna change all this corruption. Okay, let's start with this. Let's start with flat earth. Let's just start with flat earth. Let's do one. Let us pick a team and go to Antarctica. See what the fuck's going on. Come on, Trump. You're Mr. Transparency. You're for revealing all the secrets. Let's reveal it all. Wouldn't that be great? Imagine that. But I don't see it happening. It's going to happen the same way it did last time he was in. As soon as he gets in, they're going to start the lawsuits. They're going to start trying to impeach him. They're going to start all the mess. It's just going to be nothing but chaos again. That's all it's going to be. And I've said it once, I'll say it again. I admire the left. They stick to their narrative. They stick behind their people. It don't matter if they're cold, busted, red-handed. They will stay behind them. They don't throw them under the bus. They keep you in the fold. As long as you're willing to go to bat for them, they'll keep you. The Republicans, no. They jump ship like rats jumping a sinking ship, man. As soon as somebody gets called a racist, they back off and they're like, I never really did agree with that guy. They have no guts. It's just such a sad situation they've set up in the one-party system. I don't care what you say. There ain't no two-party system here. There's one party. It's the money party. Over the decades of my lifetime, hundreds and hundreds of people have been elected to federal office, went in barely being a thousandaire, come out being a millionaire, go on to become a multimillionaire. How corrupt is that? That's just gross. That's just that's just gross. And then they stay within the system. You see one guy, he worked for the FDA. Now he's on the agriculture committee. And once he's on the agriculture committee, then he goes out into the private sector and works for a big corporation. And he goes in and talks to his buddies. Hey, Jim, how you doing? Ain't seen you in a while. Look, about the corn thing, we need to talk. Oh, sure, sure, sure. We can do that for you. you know, it's just crazy. One hand washes the other. It's just a revolving door with these people. You get elected, you go be a lobbyist, you go work for a corporation, you go do these things, and you come back into government. It's crazy. Nobody else gets to do that. Those industries, it doesn't work for us that way. And the only way, we all know, the only way they get there is by compromise. They sell their souls. They say, I'll do what it takes for money, whether it's right or not. Oh, I need the money. My wife wants a new Mercedes. My wife wants us to put in a pool. My wife wants, I can't do this. Man, my vision is just getting so bad. It's okay far away, up close. Oh, dang. Just imagine, just for a minute, if something happens to you, like happened to that, what was that congressman's name up in New York? Little fat dude. Well, they found all the cash and the gold sewn into his clothes in his closet. And his explanation was, hey, my family was European. That was what we did. Really? You're sewing gold bars into your clothes? Like there's going to be a raid on you? And, what the hell? What happens to him? Nothing. Nothing happens to him. It's obvious he's been taking bribes. It's obvious that they're crooked, but nothing ever happens. The last since 2020 election, I've seen 2 or 3 cases where poll workers were arrested for, election interference, and they're always on the left, and you don't hear anything about it. You hear nothing. And it's funny how all of the glitches, like on Google or any of these platforms, like the deal with Google AI, when it wouldn't show a white person. George Washington didn't bring up a colored person, right? Oh, that was a glitch. Well, it always goes one way. It never goes the other way. It's always a glitch in favor of the left. That's what kills me, is just go ahead, look back as far as you want. Go ahead, check it out. Any of these glitches, any of these things that were put out and proven to be wrong in a hoax, it was always against conservatives, never against the left. Always. And that's crazy. That's just nuts. How does that happen? How in a world so random is it always so precise that it's always on one side? I don't know. You tell me. Manipulation. What's the causation? Who's involved? The use. We know the use. And that's bad. I can't even say that word. Think about that. Can't even say that word. Right now, our censorship is so bad that we can't have an honest conversation about a group of people who have demonstrated nothing but nefarious ideologies against us. It's out there. The evidence is clear. It's one group. They've been doing it for a long time. And you can't say anything. You can't say anything. Our Congress even passes laws that say you can't disparage these people. You can't boycott them. Texas has laws on the books. Says you can't do that. The fuck? Okay, I want a law that says you can't disparage me. How are they better than me? How do they get protections like that and nobody else? How is it? How do you carve out rules and regulations for one singular group of people, and you put parameters on it that you don't know when you're going to go afoul of this law, but when you do, you're going to find out pretty quick that we don't put up with that shit. You don't talk about us. Although we're doing everything you're saying, we're actually doing worse than you even know. But you saying anything? Yeah, no, that ain't going to fly. You can't say anything about that. You can't point out the obvious. It's a security thing. A security thing. And this, my whole life, it's just been so weird that one group has caused so much pain and destruction in their path. Look at their path. Look at the wake behind them. All the death, destruction, and the just the inhumanity towards man on their behalf. And we're told, can't say nothing. Can't disparage them. They're God's chosen people. But y'all don't believe in God. All you people that are backing these people and that are running cover for them don't even believe in God. But you stand back and defend them as God's people. Hey, they're God's chosen. You know, you gotta be cool. Hey, I want to find that out. Don't you want to find that out if there's really these lizard fucking people? I want to know these things. Yeah, I mean, when I was growing up, that's a good point, Lee. When I was growing up, all through elementary school, there were two kids in our school that where you could label them retarded, right? One was a black girl. She was my age, and she was retarded, and everybody helped her out. Everybody was cool with her. Melissa, her name was Melissa, big old fat black girl, and everybody, it was cool. The other kid, he had a birth defect. He had more physical than mental, and he had seizures all the time. Two, nobody had allergies to anything, no autism. There was none of that anywhere, nothing. And it's just one of those deals where it didn't exist. And then the generation behind me, my friends who had little brothers and sisters, started having those things, started having those allergies, started having these autistic kids, started having all these problems. But as far as my generation goes, going through school and stuff, no, it just didn't exist. You never. When my kids had like one of the first little birthday parties at school, a note came and said, make sure, for the kids with the allergies, there's no peanuts, there's none of this gluten, all these things. Whatever you bring, it's got to be free of these things. And it's like, what? I mean, hang on, what are you talking about? Yeah, you can't just bring any old cupcakes or treats or anything. Yeah, there's kids that'll kill them. It'll kill them. What? Yeah, it's just my lifetime alone, the turn that happened health-wise, energy-wise, education, just every institution, 60s and 70s just took that big flip, huge flip. You can see it in the numbers where our education level up until the development of the Department of Education, we were tops in the world and everything. And now, hell, we can't even break the top 30. I think we're 39th or something in the world. We're the dumbest sons of bitches going now. We ain't smart enough to pour piss out of a boot anymore, but oh wow, we're the biggest, strongest country ever. We're the most noble, most loving, caring country in the world. We're the best, but we're the dumbest suckers you'll ever run across. We'll fall for anything. If the government comes out with a news flash and says this is what it is, a lot of people that's what it is. We're good. It's bad. It's bad, guys. Geez, I've been going 2 hours and 15 minutes. It's been a while since I did a video. This stuff's just so aggravating. And if I didn't have my faith, I would be depressed. I would be depressed. I would be like, where? There's no hope. Where do you go? Doesn't matter who we vote in, same shit. Doesn't matter where we buy our products, same shit. You know, you go store to store to store, and it's all the same shit. Oh, definitely. That serpent seed. I just one day, I know I'll know, and I'll be able to understand all that went on, all that happened. But it's kind of until then, it's so frustrating because I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. If I was sitting in that office and everybody come around the table and go, look, here's what we're gonna do. Going forward, we're gonna start putting cardboard, little bitty microscopic cardboard and plastic into the food to expand the volume and increase our profits. And everybody around the table went, Tommy, that's probably the best idea we've heard in a long time. Have you got an idea how to go forward? Yeah. And I break out and go, look, this is microplastics we get from this company. This is the micro cardboard. We put it in, it gives it volume. It takes the flavor. When people, it'll just pass right through them. They won't know it, but we're going to make millions. We're going to save so much in product. We get this plastic and cardboard at 1/10 of what it costs for the real ingredients to make a whole product. We can cut that shit in half. We're going to get rich. We're going to make so much money. And everybody went, let's do it. Let's do it. Great idea. I mean, just that happened thousands and thousands and thousands of times in boardrooms all across the world where people made those decisions to harm us. They said, yes, we will do that. We'll do that in the name of profits. We can do it. I can't imagine being that person. I just can't do it. Well, who can? Well, a lot of people. Like my wife's boss. This guy's nothing about climbing the ladder. He's nothing more than just that's all his life is. Kathy left at 4:00 yesterday. She had I think it was haircut or eyebrows or something. And she said it happens this way all the time. She wasn't out of the building 5 minutes, and he called her, asking questions about stuff that they'd already discussed during the day. And just to fuck with her, she said, Gary, their CFO, same way. He leaves at 4:00 on Fridays, 10, 20 minutes after he leaves, he's calling him just because that's all he has. He has no life. He has no religion. He has nothing but that job. That's all it means to him. He's the one that forced her and the other executives at the hospital to take the jab. He forced them. It wasn't a written policy. It was everybody gets in the room and goes, look, we need to do this. And if you want to be part of this team, you're going to do it. Or I'm going to feel like you're not part of the team. And everybody got the message. And my wife had a religious exemption. And they said, doesn't matter. You're part of the executive team. You're going to be a leader. And we're going to show solidarity here. Or the troops won't follow. And when I found that out, I got so upset. I almost got her fired because I called up and I got to talk to their lawyer, and I told her that I know for sure that they forced people to take the jab and that I was going to sue them. And I ended up, and I shouldn't have done it, but I did. Told them who I was. As soon as she heard who I was, she hung up. And I've told this story before, I think. I immediately started texting Kathy, emergency, emergency, emergency. Call me as soon as possible, emergency, emergency. She called me and I said, I'm sorry, I fucked up. Here's what's coming. And it wasn't 20 minutes. Her boss walked into our office, said, turn your computer off, head home. We'll talk to you in a little bit. And she was devastated. She was blindsided. And that was like 10 o'clock in the morning on Friday. They told her they'd talk to her that afternoon. They called her about 5, said, we're discussing this. We'll talk to you on Monday. It was Monday at 5 o'clock when they finally called her. She's just spinning, just knows she's going to lose her job. She just knows it's over. And they call her up on Monday and say, yeah, come in tomorrow. We'll discuss with you. She goes in and they say, look, that's strike 3. She didn't get strike 1, strike 2. She went straight to strike 3. And told her, anything like this again, you're gone. She lost her shit on me. And I sit back and took it because I know she doesn't understand. I know she doesn't get it, that her principles mean more than that job. There's other jobs out there, we'll make it. But she's not on the same page. And so she took it. And since she took it, she's been lethargic. She's just every day. By the end of the day, she's got no energy. She's got no energy. On weekends, she'll take 3 naps. She'll sleep 2 hours, 2 or 3 different times throughout the day. She's just worn out all the time. And what can we do? She took it. She had to, or she's going to lose her job. And she can't see losing a 6-figure job, and she couldn't see it over the jab until now. She realizes she will never take another one, but it's the damage is done. It's over. Once you get it once, that's it. I'm seeing all this shit now. These doctors are saying, look, these women that took this, that are of childbearing age, they should be okay. It's going to be passed on to their kids, their sons and daughters. Is where we're going to find out what this whole mRNA deal is about. It's when those kids grow up and try to have kids. What is it going to be? Is it going to be a phlebotomide situation like in the 70s? Is it going to be, a vaccine thing, with autism? What's it going to be? And they can't see any way out of this generation not having fertility problems and not having, birth defect problems. What is it going to be? We don't know. They didn't know with phlebotomide what it was going to be. They didn't know till it happened. They didn't care till it happened. And then they still didn't care. That's the thing. These guys are gamblers. They roll the dice. Let's see what happens. Let's do it. They don't care. They'll do a little study and see, it's not great. Yeah, well, let's tweak it a little bit and throw it out there. Scary. Guys, 2 hours, 23 minutes. What time is it? 6 something? I've been going a while. But thank you all. Thank you all for listening. I know I ain't the most in-depth, knowledgeable, truth-spewing person, but I try to keep on a narrow path. And all this stuff, guys, I know y'all see it. We all see it. All we can do is try and get our sphere of influence, seeing it and understanding it and not complying. I think about the only way forward is just non-compliance. I was on the airplane with a lady the other day and we were talking about the mask and all that. And I said, I never wore one. Well, what did you do? How did you? I said, if I went to the grocery store, I just walked in like I owned the place, grabbed my basket, grabbed my stuff. People would be like, sir, you need a mask. And I'd be like, no, thank you. I don't need one. Appreciate it. I'd go in and go out. People harass me. They try to get me to wear a mask. I said, no, I'm not wearing a mask. I'm doing my shopping. I'm done. I'm out of here. Leave me alone. Airplane, same thing. You have to wear a mask. At first they were letting you wear the little scarf deals so you could pull up. I'm on an airplane one time. I'm sitting there and I have my little deal pulled up. I have a hoodie on. I'm just in the corner. I'm going to sleep. And this lady keeps going, he doesn't have a mask. Excuse me, stewardess, he doesn't have a mask. And she brings me a mask. I'm like, what's wrong with this? Well, you still need to wear a mask. And so I put a mask on and I pull my hoodie over and I pull it down. Yeah, stewardess, he's not got his mask up. He's not got his mask up. I said, why don't you shut the fuck up, lady? What the hell is your problem? Ain't nobody bothering you. You just shut up. Wear your mask. Leave me alone. Well, no, sir, you're going to have to keep your mask up. I'm like, you people are psychotic. They almost threw me off the plane. I was like, this is ridiculous. It was psychotic. Y'all were there. Y'all lived through it. It was just these people, those kind of people are the ones that are the brown shirts. They're the ones that'll take up arms against their citizens because it's their job. It's my job. I gotta keep my job. I'm gonna pay my bills, pay my car payment, keep the lights on, I gotta have my job. And if it means shooting you or arresting you for not wearing a mask, so be it. I gotta have my job. You know what it'd be like if I lose my job? You know, that's the way the world runs now. They've got us in a situation where we have to work. If we don't work, then we're on their roll and we don't have enough to survive. So, you know, you comply or you suffer. You pick. They've got us in that box where we don't know any different. We just don't know. We can't imagine a life free of the government. We can't imagine a life with natural, healthy foods, with natural medications, remedies, and cures. So you can't imagine it. We just can't see it because they took it away from us. You know, how did that guy make it to be a millionaire on just an eighth grade education? Well, up until 1900, an eighth grade education was very, very difficult. Y'all seen it, the 1896 eighth grade graduation test. Most PhDs can't pass it, but you had to be that smart as an eighth grader then. Not now. Not now. What happened? Why did they do that to us? You know, y'all heard the stories. You see that guy? He's a multimillionaire. He didn't have no more than an eighth grade education. Well, now I know that that means much more than having a college education today. If I could have gotten an eighth grade education in the late 1800s, yeah, I'd have been a millionaire too, because I read through that test. Me and Kathy together, we couldn't answer one of those questions right. Try it. Go look it up if you hadn't already seen it. That's crazy that was expected of a 12, 13-year-old kid, you know, in the late 18, early 1900s. But now PhDs can't pass it. Tell me, don't seem right. All right, guys, I'm gonna sign off. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Good seeing y'all again. You know, God bless. Keep that narrow path. Keep that faith, guys. You know, it's friends like y'all that I know are out there that give me hope, that give me faith that it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. I believe those of us with the hedge of protection of God, this stuff's it's not going to affect us like it will the other people. We're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. Thanks, guys. Love you all. Good discernment, good vibration. Take care.